Brenda here with Roaming and Recording. Today, we want to talk about our experience with travel insurance claims. If you've been reading travel forums, you'll see a lot of recommendations on policies and companies. But how many responding have actually had to submit a claim? Well, we have had 2 trips that required claims. The first was for onboard medical services on a cruise ship. The second was an unexpected total cancellation of a trip within hours of leaving for the airport. We'll tell you what we learned and give you tips to navigate a claim if needed. Hi, today we want to talk to you about trip insurance and why we think it's a must-have when you travel. We are not insurance agents and we are not travel advisors. So we are just simply sharing with you our 2 claims with 2 different insurances in 2 different trips, and they were both very different. So we wanted to share that with you because when we were younger, we would often forego the insurance, and it never occurred to me that maybe I would stumble and break a leg or have an accident or end up down in the sick bay like I did on a trip to Alaska. So our experience has taught us, at least, that we would never travel without it.
Right. Yeah, it's very important, especially even for young people. It's important because you couldn't break your leg. You're out there doing excursions likely and unknown terrain, and you could sprain an ankle, break a leg, something like that. So even young people need it, but you especially need it as you're growing older. So we just recommend that you really get it. And we're going to give you the reasons, our experience, and why we will always get insurance now.
So our first trip that we had this with was on the NCL Bliss. We had taken a family trip to Alaska, and our son went with us. He and I both ended up down in the medical center with either seasickness or norovirus. We're not really sure which one, but it was pretty darn bad. And I must say that I was really thankful that Craig was with us because he was going between my cabin and my son's cabin and taking care of us both. But it did get to the point where we had to go down to that medical center. And we were pretty reluctant.
Yeah, we hear horror stories about how expensive it is, and that if you go down just for the slightest thing, it's going to be hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So we were reluctant. We tried to tough it through, and it just got to a point where we couldn't do it. So we did end up going down to the medical center, and really were pleasantly surprised with what we found when we got there.
I feel we had excellent care. My son and I both had to get a shot, and I ended up with an IV. I was severely dehydrated, and then we had medication. We were confined to our cabin for 24 hours. But to be quite honest, after that 24 hours, I won't say we were 100%, but we were able to go out on excursions and continue with a great family vacation.
Yeah, I think we got really good care down there, and the facility was really nice. I was kind of surprised how it appeared to be really nice, very modern, and the people down there are very helpful, very, very good people down there.
So let us tell you that the horror stories that we heard were not true in our case. We did go down there, and as I said, we did get treatment. For some reason, mine never showed up on my bill. It never showed up. But my son's did, and I believe it was like $274. What
Right.
is all his care was for. And like I said, he, you know, had to be in there for several hours and got a shot and got really great care as well. So that really wasn't very out of line at all for medical treatment.
No, I don't think so at all. I think that's about what you would pay if you went to the quickie clinic in the U.S. So I was very pleasantly surprised that that's all it was, and he got real good treatment, got prescription filled out, everything. So it was very good.
Yeah. So he had insurance through NCL, and it's the kind that you buy when you book your trip. So it's per trip, and it covered medical care. It covered if he had to be care flighted off, it would have covered that. I believe his medical care was like something like 10,000. I think the policy was about 250.
Yeah, it was just in the
209.
$200. Yeah,
Yeah.
209, I think it was. So it was, very reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell them about the process because it was a little bit longer and a little intense because my thought is like most insurance companies that I have dealt with, they usually dismiss your claim out of hand or say, oh, sorry, so sorry. But let me have Craig tell you because he's the one who did all that paperwork?
Yeah, so we started the process of getting reimbursed. And the first thing you need to do is go through your primary healthcare provider, it's insurance company. So we did, we submitted a claim online, um, and we submitted all the forms that we got from the ship. We got, several pages, the receipts, the procedures they did, the conditions of the patient, and all that, and a detailed account for the costs. Submitted that to our medical insurance provider, and they denied that claim, stating that there was no coding, diagnostic coding for what was performed or what the condition was. And I checked it over, and it does seem it was lacking in that.
But it did say the diagnosis.
It gave a diagnosis, right? But supposedly there was no diagnosis number or something like that. And I don't know if that's a universal thing they do. So they denied the claim. After that, I submitted it to the NCL travel insurance company, saying that we went through our primary. They denied it, and these are the reasons they denied it. And so here you go, seeing what would happen. And it turned out then after a month or so that they actually then said, okay, we approve your claim and we're going to send you a check for your actual expenses. So it took a while, but that was I was happy with the outcome of that.
Well, it actually took till December.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it was going through our primary,
yeah,
and getting them to deny it.
Right.
It looks like we had some submission of the forms to the website problems. So we submitted it. I got a note saying your claim was successfully submitted, so I'm good to go. I wait a month or so, hear nothing. I submitted again, successful. Wait a month, nothing. So then I give them a call and I go, what's going on? What's the status of our claim? Well, they say they couldn't find our claim. So here's, months have gone by. We've submitted it. They say it successfully submitted and received, but now they can't find it. So I asked them, I can't do this anymore. Just give me a mailing address where I can mail the forms to you. So they did. I mailed them, and then the process went pretty fast. So the mail really worked out a lot better than trying to submit them.
So I think a big takeaway on that particular one was to submit it every which way you can. And start the process early. If you can get a diagnosis code, but I'm wondering if when you're on a ship, are diagnostic codes the same all over the world? Probably not. So maybe you're not going to get one there. No, but you have to submit it to your primary, and then you have to get that denial, and then you have to go through that, and you have to submit it 5 different ways.
Yeah. So the first thing I would do is, if we ever have this happen again and we get a receipt from the onboard doctor, I would ask them if they have a diagnostic number or claim number, or just, have you given me everything I need to submit it successfully? And they'll know, they won't know, I don't know. But what I got was not adequate for my primary. So I'd ask them next time to make sure that they put in there everything that I need to submit a claim.
But in the end, NCL Insurance covered it, and we were very happy with the onboard care.
Yes. Yes.
So let's talk about the second trip, which was just last year. And this one we had through Allianz or Allianz, I'm not sure how to say it, but it was an annual plan. So an annual plan will cover you on any trip that you have that's 100 miles from your house, whether it's a cruise or a road trip or whatever. Mm-hmm. And we did have a little mishap on that because we didn't read the fine print very well. We thought we had $2,000 coverage per person, where it was actually $2,000 coverage for the trip. And that really comes into play here. So what happened was we were going to go on a Southern Caribbean cruise. And about 8 hours before we were ready to leave, Craig calls me up. Our bags are packed. Hotel is ready. We're going to drive down to the airport. And Craig calls up and says, hey, I'm having issues with my eye. I'm like, no, you're okay. And he's like, no, I went to the doctor, and I'm going down for surgery today. Wow, that was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so turns out I had a torn retina, and my ophthalmologist said, you have it one eye, we're going to send you down to this specialist downtown. And so I go down there and I wait a couple hours, and he gets me in. He said, well, actually you have torn retinas in both eyes. So I said, oh, okay. So he does a procedure. Now that he only does one eye the first day, and I had to come back the next day and get the other eye done. So I did that. Turns out actually throughout the next week or so, I had to get 4 surgeries on my eye. So it was a pretty big deal.
Yeah. Thankfully, we were not in the Caribbean where
Yeah.
you wouldn't have gotten the care you needed and could have lost your eyesight.
Right. Because I asked him, well, after you do this, I can still go on the trip, right? And he goes, no, I would not advise that at all.
Yeah.
And
So that's where I came in next. So
uh,
he's down there getting his eyes lasered, and I'm on the phone calling the cruise line. I did not cancel the cruise first. What I did is I called them up and I canceled everything that was an add-on, like the gratuities, all the shore excursions, the Wi-Fi, anything that we had paid extra for, because you can cancel those within 24 or 48 hours without penalty, and they will refund back to your card. And considering at the time we didn't know that, we didn't have enough coverage for the entire trip, that was really good planning on my part, because
right.
it was hundreds of dollars, maybe even $1,000 of that. And I waited until that was showing up refunded on my credit card statement that same day, which was great. They send you an email that says, yes, this has been refunded. And only after I canceled all of that, then we canceled the
Right.
cruise. So we had a lot less on the line to give to the insurance.
Right. That's really important lesson right there, is make sure you cancel everything you can, but do not cancel the cruise until you've canceled all the things like excursions and tips and stuff like that.
And get the confirmation
Because,
that those are canceled.
yeah.
So then we looked, we went to the Allianz or Alliance and looked at the annual plan, and we discovered that we thought it was for 2,000 per person, but it was 2,000 per trip. And that wouldn't have been, it would have been more if we were on a cruise and had to be flight cared back. That's a whole different thing. But for the particular part of covering the cruise itself, it was 2,000 for that.
Yeah, which did not cover the entire cost. And so lesson number 2 is make sure you have enough coverage to cover if you have to cancel this, you can cover and get reimbursed for all of your expenses.
But I will say the one thing that I keep in mind that softens that blow just a little bit on this particular trip was that we had taken 1 or 2 trips prior to this, and we would have paid about $600 in insurance for each of one of those. So if you look at it, we would have paid $1,800 out insurance for 3 trips. So, we got a value of $1,200 of, insurance that we didn't have to take out. Does that make sense?
So I think the important takeaway here is that you really need to get insurance. I would not travel again without it, because you never know what's going to happen on a trip. And this was just out of the blue, the day of, that we had to cancel.
And the process of this one was a little bit easier in some ways, but we did have an issue. I think when Craig was submitting the claims to the online, our files kept getting corrupted. And so we ended up having to mail them or fax them. I know we had to go old school again.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. 2 times it did not seem to work very well. And I would just advise people, send it to them every which way you can, through their website, but also through snail mail too, because they're going to get it one way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that really would speed up the process, and I'll certainly do that next time.
And Craig always has his old school folders. I think we showed you that earlier in another video. And I can't tell you how often that those documentations come into play. He'll even write notes that, yes, I called them. He writes down the addresses just in case we ever need another claim, just to expedite it. So those things are really important to do. But we would never be without insurance again, I don't think.
Yeah, just keep all your records, because you never know what they're going to ask for, and just have everything available. Keep notes of who you talk to, when you talk to them. It'll just make life easier if they're trying to give you trouble. They're trying to, get information. You'll have it readily available to submit to them.
Yeah. So again, we have had sickness on board, and then we had a total trip cancellation. Things that certainly we didn't plan on either one of those. So what I would also like to say is that if you are thinking of foregoing insurance or if you are looking into getting insurance, we hope that our tips were valuable to you. And we also would like to tell you to like and subscribe, of course, and also to read the fine print of any insurance that you are looking at. There are
Right.
so many different coverages. Some will cover pre-existing conditions right off the bat. Some things will not be covered if you don't do it within 30 days of booking your trip. And other ones will have a cancel for any reason, and some of them will have no cancel for any reason. So you have to, weigh in what all of those factors are for you. For instance, if you have an elderly parent or someone who is very ill and you're going on a trip, and you may think that maybe I'm going to have to fly back during the middle of that trip, check your insurance policy that you're planning on purchasing, because there are just so many variables to it. Again, we're not insurance agents and we're not travel agents. We're just telling you our experiences and the things that we learned, and we learned a lot.
Yeah, I think we have. I think we learned that you need to get the insurance and you need to read the fine print, like Brenda says, and know what you're getting. And even though it costs a little bit more to get more coverage, it's probably could really be worth it, worth doing.
A couple of days ago, Craig and I were talking, and he said, I think that next time I get on a ship, that I just might go down and check out the medical center just to see what it's like. And I think that's a really great idea, because my experience on the ship that I had the medical care on was really great, and I didn't expect that. And I think it's a really good thing to go down there and familiarize yourself with the facilities, so that if you do have something, that you kind of are familiar with where it is and who the staff is. And also, a lot of times they'll give you a seasickness medication for free down there.
Yeah, I think that's what we found out. First of all, we found out the medical facility is really great, very, very good, very modern.
Yeah, at least on
People
the
very
Bliss it
good
was.
on the Bliss, yeah. And they did have seasickness pills that they were giving out for free. So if you didn't bring any or you wanted some more, you could get it there.
Yeah. And we will do also another video here shortly that will tell you our things that we think that you should bring for your onboard medical care from your own cabin. So stay tuned for that, and please like and subscribe. It does help our micro channel.
Okay. Bye now.
Bye.